Show.
Blairing Out interview with Keith Morris. How you doing, Keith?
Part 2.
Part 2, yeah, that's right.
Well, I'm doing fine.
Yeah?
Peppermint gum, yeah. And underarms that smell like enchiladas. Shut off the gas here so we can't take hot showers.
Are you serious?
Cold showers. It's awesome.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I'm not into it. I'm not into cold showers. Well, I like it a little bit cool sometimes.
It's invigorating. You know what? It makes you feel alive.
But do you feel like you're getting clean, though? That's the thing. Because I feel like hot water kills the bacteria. And
that's a good point.
Yeah.
No, I don't feel like I'm getting clean, so I guess I'm just one big dirt ball.
Well, no. You're actually a cool guy. So, anyways, that doesn't affect your coolness. Slam dancing. How did you feel about it? How do you feel about it today? And how would you explain it to the layman that really didn't know very much about it?
I compare slam dancing to the Macarena or the Lambada or the Foxtrot, the Waltz, the Charleston, the Shag, the Pony, the... What is it? The
Watusi?
Well, there's the Watusi. There's the Shimley. It's very simple. You know, you see the Skank Man. You see our logo. You see there was a band called DRI who also used the Skank Man, only used it in like at that time that they came up with their logo, the Olympics were happening where they'd come out with the stick figures. Mm. If you look at what the slam dancing or the Skank Man is doing, it's basically the same movement that you would make if you were riding a skateboard. And that's pretty much where that came from. If you notice, the majority of the people, when it first started happening, like stage diving and slam dancing, it's always been the more athletic, more... I mean, you look at him and you go like ape man, monkey brain, jock guy.
Yeah.
But a lot of the guys that were doing it early on were guys that did a lot of surfing, did a lot of skating, skateboarding, snowboarding. You know, the whole idea behind the dance is just go for it. It's a very aggressive dance. There's nothing sexy about it. Mm-hmm. It's not like a lot of those other dances that look like you're like having sex fully clothed on the dance floor. You know, it looks like somebody's going to get hurt, somebody's going to get beat up, somebody's going to get pummeled. It's just a very aggressive, the majority of the people are very, like, it's like a Southern California kind of thing. There's places you can be on the floor where you don't have to necessarily be involved in...
Well, you don't have to be involved. I'm talking about people that choose to go into the slam pit.
Well, the majority of the people, I would say 95% of the people that choose to go into the slam pit know what they're getting into. Yeah. So if that's what they want to do, if they want to beat themselves up, so be it. You know, we have no control over that. Let them do what they're going to do.
So you don't have a problem with slam dancing at all?
Not really.
Okay.
Unless somebody gets seriously hurt.
When Circle Jerks were doing well after Wild in the Streets, as far as, you know, I'm not talking about like millionaires or whatever, but doing well as far as...
Thousandaires.
Okay. Doing gigs and stuff, did you feel like, God, I'm a part of this like scene that's happening right now? Or did you just feel like, whatever?
At that time, the scene wasn't huge. The scene wasn't so splintered. There's so many bands now, it's hard to keep up with them. Like you asked me earlier, you know, what are your favorite bands? What are the bands you're listening to? What do you think of the punk rock bands now? It's like, now I say whatever.
Yeah.
Back then it was like we knew all the people in all the bands. There weren't that many bands. There was like a couple of hundred bands. And nowadays there's a couple of hundred bands on every corner.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Darby Crash from the Germs and some of your experiences with him.
Well, Darby was the type, had stage fright. It was almost like he didn't really want to be doing what he was doing. And to make up for that, to compensate for that lack of wanting to be on stage, he would drink and do drugs. And that would loosen him up and make it easier for him to get up there and do some of the things that he did. There were a few people that were like that. I was like that. In the beginning, it was like, you know, we would drink and do cocaine and
wow,
snort speed, and it was terrible. I mean, I did it, and I had fun doing it at times. There were a lot of ugly times, but I don't do it anymore. I don't need to. I don't want to.
Was Darby like a good person when you hung out with him? Did you guys get along? I mean,
I always got along with Darby. Darby was, as much as he stood out amongst all the people, he always still, the vibe that I got from him was that he wanted to like be one of the guys or hang with all the gals, or, you know, whoever was there. He would, you know, want to be a part of what was going on.
Do you feel he was a misunderstood person?
I don't think so. Made great records. He was an awesome lyricist. I don't think they really got the recognition they deserved, but then they weren't around long enough. They only made the one album, you know, and whatever bootlegs came out.
Yeah.
So it was like we never really got a chance to see just how far they could go, if they would become better musicians, if they would write, you know, what direction they would go with the music.
How did you feel about his passing?
Well, I was sad, but it was almost like, in a way, we saw it coming. Or not we, but I, you know, felt something was going to happen, because he was running too hard. He was running too fast.
Being in that scene, the punk scene, were you really allowed to like say, hey man, you know, you need to slow down, or was that just not an option?
Well, the thing was that a lot of us were moving fast like that. So there was a bit of like, I'm not going to worry so much about him. Or I'm not going to worry so much about her. Mm-hmm. You know, and it also got to a point where some of the bands were able to go out on like major U.S. tours, whereas a lot of the bands in L.A. weren't motivated to do that, or they wanted to do that, but they didn't know how to do that. They didn't know how to go about getting the people to book their tours, or, you know, finding promoters or whatever. That's, I guess, true with any genre of music, any group of people in music. There'll be some that are more motivated than others. Like right now, a perfect example would be myself. It's like I want to play music, but I'm not that motivated. I mean, I'm not that driven to do it right now, although the opportunity is coming up for me. And I think, you know, with the gas being shut off and not being able to take hot showers and not being able to cook here and working in the restaurant, like mopping floors and washing dishes, when I said I'd reached my bottom earlier, a lot of times you have to like get to that low point to want to like pick yourself up. I mean, the way that I'm looking at it, my psychology behind this is that I'm getting down and I'm getting closer and closer to being really down, and I don't want to be all the way down there. And it's like I don't want to be doing these things, so maybe this will be the fire that I need to light under myself to get me going. Or it might be the dynamite that I've got to put in my shoes to, you know, rocket me into something else.
You are doing something right now, though.
Well, a couple of the other guys were supposed to be here.
Yeah.
That I was going to be working with.
Yeah.
But they're not here, so we'll have to do that at a later date.
Okay.
But you definitely want to talk to these guys, because they're pretty wild and weird and outstanding, and they got their things that they're doing that are cool, and they've got their things to say.
Cool.
But one of them is John Frusciante, who is the guitarist who used to be in the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who's responsible probably for a couple of their best records. And then Bob Forrest, who's the lead singer in Thelonious Monster, I'll be playing with all the guys in his band.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it as hippie as this might sound, or as 60s as this might sound, make it a communal scenario where John has the music that he wants to play, and he can use and choose whichever musicians from this band he wants to play with. So if he wants to do a three-piece thing with him and two other guys, then he just takes two of the guys from the band. Bob uses the entire band. I use the entire band, but I bring in like maybe a couple of other people to play some stuff on the side, or maybe a different drummer. So it turns into this
caravan of music.
Like Mad Dogs and Englishmen, this thing that Joe Cocker did back in the 60s, or was it the 70s, where they did this tour where there was like 3 guitar players and a piano player and an organ player and 2 drummers and like 4 female backing vocalists, and you know, it seemed like it was a fun thing to do, and I'm batting at bugs flying around.
That's a bummer. You know, I hope that comes together for you.
Well, see, the great thing about it is you've got Dix Denny, who played in The Weirdos. He's played with Lydia Lunch. Played in Thelonious Monster. You've got John Frusciante, who's just released a solo album. He has another solo album that's amazing. He's played in the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You have Xander Schloss, who plays in a band called the Low and Sweet Orchestra. He's played in the Circle Jerks. He's played in Thelonious Monster and a couple of other bands. And then the drummer that I would bring in, Josh, if he's available.
Josh Freese?
If he's available.
That guy's awesome.
If he's available, has played with the Vandals. He's played with Devo.
Yeah. He played with Dweezil's band.
And he's played in this band called Slider, who are from San Francisco. He's played with Frank Black. He's played with School of Fish, Paul Westerberg. And then I'd need to find somebody that plays saw, washboard. I need to find a tuba player and an oboe player, and somebody that plays mellotron. Actually, Benmont Tench, who's the keyboard player from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, said that he would play. And when I get ready to record my album, I'm going to have, like, each song is going to have a whole different band on it.
Yeah.
Because I've got so many different people that have volunteered to play on it. Wayne Kramer from the MC5, Brother Wayne.
About the Go-Go's?
The Go-Go's, I hung out with Margot, who was one of the original...
The bass player, right?
Yeah. In fact, I saved her from getting raped one night outside a party. She'd passed out on the front lawn, and we were leaving. I was with a couple of my friends. We were all drunk and carrying on, and there were a couple of guys who were removing parts of her clothes. I saw this, and I had a beer in my hand, and I threw the beer and hit one guy and ran after the other guy. And the last time I saw her was about 7 years ago in New York.
Did you know the Runaways?
I went and saw them play a couple of times.
You weren't like buddy-buddy with Joan Jett or any of those?
No. She produced the first Germs album.
Yeah.
The Blairing Out Show.